Before I begin, this isn't part of the speech, but in light of today's events, I just want everybody to know that I wrote this last week, so take that into account, okay? Let me set the scene for you. Screams come from the halls. We see people running by our door. Bang! Bang! Gunshots fill the hallway. We duck down in fear. Some of us run to the door to barricade it. Sue's on the phone calling 911. Others are on the ground crying hysterically. And then our worst fears come to light. The door handle jiggles once, twice. There's an armed gunman outside our door. I don't know what's going through your head at the time. Maybe family, friends, regrets. I don't know. But what I do know is that at that moment, every single one of you would wish that I had a gun in this holster. Indiana University Southeast has a strict no weapons policy. This is an excerpt from the employee handbook. This policy includes activities such as introducing, possessing, using, buying, and selling firearms, even if you have a valid state permit to carry a firearm. You are not authorized to carry the firearm on university premises. Only law enforcement officers and others in exceptional circumstances who have prior approval by the police chief are authorized to carry a firearm. Now, I know what some will say. Campus police will respond. They will protect us. They're so close. Well, by the time it takes to get to our classroom from University Center North, room 027, probably 500 yards away, for us, unfortunately, that's going to be too late. It only takes a matter of seconds to get through a door, especially if you're heavily armed. The campus PD acknowledges this in the armed subject policy. As stated, if the armed subject comes into your class or office, there is no one procedure the authorities can recommend in this situation. Well, I guess we all know what that means, don't we? We are all too familiar with school shootings in this country: Columbine, Paducah, Virginia Tech, and Newtown. These are just a few examples of horrible tragedies that may have been stopped or even limited if someone had been able to carry a concealed weapon on those campuses. The cycle we go through after these horrific events is always the same. Before the families even have time to bury their loved ones, politicians on the far left are screaming for guns to be banned. Dianne Feinstein, a Democratic senator from California, is a staunch supporter of regulating and banning certain weapons. Also, she happens to be on the forefront of politicians that make ridiculous statements, such as, we have federal regulations and state laws that prohibit hunting ducks with more than 3 rounds. And yet it's legal to hunt humans with 15-round, 30-round, or even 150-round magazines? Well, as we all know, hunting humans is not legal. However, stupidity is not limited to the far left. Just as Ms. Feinstein is making her claims, there are many from the far-right sector that are sure that President Obama is moments away from implementing martial law and releasing his Gestapo to come take all of our firearms. And for those of you who don't know, the Gestapo was the Nazi secret police. However, the banning of firearms is not the answer. FBI statistics show that guns the politicians wish to ban, according to the assault weapons ban of 2013, kill less people than knives, clubs, and even your own hands and feet. In 2011, the FBI reported 1,694 were murdered with knives, 726 with hands and feet, 496 with clubs or hammers, and 323 with rifles of any type, not only just the ones that they wish to ban. That being said, implementing more law on top of already existing law will not deter an individual who wishes to harm others. As the statistics show, if a person wants to murder an individual or commit a mass murder, They will find a way to do so, regardless of what the weapon may be. According to the Nashville Conference of State Legislatures, in 22 states, the decision to ban or allow concealed carry weapons on campuses is made by each college or university individually. Indiana and Kentucky are 2 of those 22 states. What that means is that the state will allow those who are trained and licensed to carry a weapon, carry that weapon only if the university allows it. As I said before, we are all too familiar with the mass shootings that happen at our schools. But what we are not aware of, because it's not good TV, is the situations where an armed criminal was stopped by legally armed citizens, possibly saving dozens of innocent lives, for example. For instance, roommates Eric Fagan and Dan McIntosh, both seniors at Gonzaga University, used a pistol to fend off John Michael Taylor, a felon who flashed his ankle bracelet in an attempt to intimidate them and gain access to their university-owned apartment. Both of these students now face expulsion for protecting themselves in a situation that could have led to both of their murders. A better example of this, in 1997, a 16-year-old named Luke Woodham walked into Pearl High School after stabbing his mother to death earlier that morning and opened fire with a .30-30 lever-action rifle. Woodham injured 7 and he killed 2. When the first shots rang out, Principal Joe Merrick ran to his car, where he kept his .45 caliber handgun, and began to run back into the school when he saw Woodham leaving the scene. Merrick fired at Woodham, missing, but he was able to subdue him before Woodham was able to execute the rest of his plan, which was to drive to nearby Pearl Junior High School and continue his rampage. I ask you to think about this. What if? What if Principal Joe Merrick would have had his gun on his side and didn't have to run to his car? What if the teacher in Newtown, Connecticut would have been armed? What if a student at Virginia Tech University would have been able to carry a concealed weapon? What if? Now that we know the facts and the evidence has presented itself, I believe it is time for the student body and staff to petition the leaders at Indiana University Southeast to rethink their position on concealed carry. And at a minimum, start allowing trained staff to carry concealed so that they may protect not only themselves, but the students as well. Because simply declaring a place a gun-free zone does nothing to deter potential criminals.